Good. I, yeah, we'll try to get some time to lengthen and
If anybody needs the recording. Okay. Hi, Jane. How are you? Good to see you. So, yes, on Thursday. Yeah. I know. These bodies, you know. So we'll start lying down. And if you need to start sitting, please start sitting because I'd like to start with the breath. Now, for some of us, sitting up against a wall is a really nice option as an alternative to lying down. And for me, if I sit up, either I'm upright vertically on some height, maybe with one leg extended, that takes some of the pressure out of my hips and knee joints, and either leaning against the wall or simply elevated. If it helps to lean against the wall, I'm a huge fan because that gives you something akin to what you get when you lie down, which is that you can feel perhaps the back of your head, most likely your shoulders, maybe even a little bit of the back of your pelvis, depending on how comfortably close, how close you can get with comfort to the wall. So take a moment to find either a lying down position or a seated one where you can bend your knees and flatten your feet and bring your attention to your belly, and if you are on the floor, you might like to widen your feet a little bit so that there's a slightly wider angle at your hip joints. And if you need height under your head, please do not hesitate to take any amount of height that allows you to relax your neck and shoulders. If you're seated, you might have your palms on your legs, your palms face up or down. If you're lying down, same thing. You may have your palms face up or down. Facing up in the yoga tradition is a way of gathering energy, of increasing your energy. Palms facing down is meant to be a more grounding and relaxing position. Now, as you breathe into your belly, feel your waistband expand, feel your belly button rise away from your spine, feel your entire torso move and fill like a balloon all the way up. And then squeeze out the air, even pulling your belly button down to your spine and pulling your hip bones towards your low ribs, which means you really engaging your rectus abdominis, your six pack abdominal muscles. And then inhale again, let go of any abdominal engagement you may have employed. And then exhale, squeeze your abdominals down and in. You may even feel your low back pushing backwards and downwards, or if you're seated, you might be feeling a little bit of a cat curl. As you breathe in, you feel more of a cow arching. Exhaling into your cat curl. Inhaling into a gentle lengthening of your lumbar spine, which means your low back might rise up off of the mat. Three more of these. It's both a belly breath, meaning you're expanding your diaphragm, moving the air all the way into your lungs to fill them completely. And then as you exhale, squeeze out all that air and engage your core muscles, your abdominals to flatten your back. Two more. Oh, yeah, someone's there. Hi there, Laura. Welcome. Exhaling completely. One more time. Focus on your belly, breathing in fully, breathing out fully. Ah. Lift up your toes and dig in with your heels and check that your heels are right at the edges of your mat. Sweep your arms to a comfortable T or cactus shape and slowly let your knees and hips rotate to the left. You might even turn your chin right. And as you go through the middle, continue the squeezing of your abdominals to flatten your back. And when you go to the side, your body relaxes and your chin might go the opposite direction to that which your knees are going to, and then go from side to side. Breathing into these windshield wipers. Now, for some, it's nice to make these more active, which means you can dig in with your heels to press your low back flat, to activate your legs, keep your toes lifted, and keep your heels digging energetically away from your head. And for others, it feels better to let your legs move without that kind of engagement, without that kind of heel digging action. Two more windshield wipers, your pacing, your style. And add back in the breath if it wavered. Big inhale and a big exhale. One more time. Big inhale, big exhale. And then very slowly make your way back to the middle and bring your knees wide towards your armpits and slowly rock side to side, holding either the fronts of your shins or the backs of your knees. I often put my fists or wrists behind the backs of my knees, and that allows me to hold my legs without the same kind of stress on my hands. And even as you're rocking, you might circle your ankles because snap, crackle, pop, moving your ankles, getting some blood flow into your feet and lower legs is a really nice way to help warm up your body. Yeah, circling your ankles one direction and then the other with or without the rocking of your body from side to side. And then slowly find your way to stillness and hold on to the back of your right thigh or the front of your right shin, depending on how it feels in your knee. And hug your right knee up towards your armpit as you kick your left heel long down the mat. Slightly tuck your chin and tuck your shoulder blades together behind your back. And really reach through your left leg and hug your right knee up into your armpit. Yoga is not supposed to be painful, but it might be excuse me, there might be some intensity. That's okay. But we're not interested in creating any sharp pain, any really compressive discomfort, pinching, that sort of thing. We back off immediately whenever we encounter that. Circle your ankles one way and the other as you hug your right knee in as much as you can up to your armpit within a range of stretch sensation. You might even feel it a little bit in the left side of the back of your pelvis. Sometimes we feel that that's your sacroiliac joint on that left side. Now, hover your right knee above your chest so it comes back and away from your armpit and a little bit more towards your belly button. Flex your right toes up to your knee. And now take your left hand on top of your right thigh and extend your right elbow or even your whole right arm to the right and pull your right thigh across your body. Your right hip might just come up a little bit and you can stay right there where you pull on your thigh with your hand and push on your hand with your thigh. If it feels good in your body to twist to the left, you can twist way over, but see if you can keep your right shoulder grounded. So you only twist your lower body so far as to keep your right shoulder completely grounded. As you create that resistance, meaning you pull on your leg with your hand and you push on your hand with your leg in equal measure, you're creating this bound position where you have leverage to stretch your right hip. Maybe turn your chin any amount to the left and then any amount to the right. One more time, breathe, big breath into your belly and exhale it all the way out. Now return to your back and comfortably, cozily draw your knees into your chest and make a circle on the ceiling with your knees, holding either shins or back of your thighs. Take a deep breath in and exhale to switch directions. That's it. Nice. Yeah. All right. Now hold on to your left leg, either in front of your shin or back of your left thigh, and dig your right heel into the mat like you're digging a little trench to plant your carrots. Well, bad seasonal option there. But anyway, maybe you have a greenhouse. So kick your right heel long away from you. Hug your left knee in way up to your left armpit. So that means it's a little bit outside of your left rib cage, and hug your left leg up so much that when your right leg reaches long, you might even feel a movement, a shift in your pelvis a little bit. That's fine. It won't be square. In other words, your hips will not be even with each other, most likely. Circle your ankles broadly and roundly, noticing any snap, crackle, pop. That's very normal. And then spread your toes inside your socks too. Even though you can't see them, spread them widely. Take a deep breath in. Return your left knee to the space above and to the left of your belly button, and then hold on with your right hand to your left thigh. Extend your left arm to any angle that feels comfortable and pull your left knee across towards the right side of your body. Now you can stay right here, kick through your right leg, squeeze your right buttock, or twist your lower body only to the right as you turn your chin left and Endeavor to keep your left shoulder blade very firmly grounded into the mat. Breathing in fully, you might exhale your chin to the right, or you might say, no, that's too destabilizing. I don't like that. And breathing out, turn your chin left. One more time, breathing in, turn your chin right. And exhale back to the center, this time with both knees, either holding your legs or not. Flex your feet, bring your knees together and close to your chest. Then push both knees away, or with or without your hands, and open your knees wide to the edges of your mat, and then back together in front of your chest, down to the foot together, wide and open. So making two separate semicircles with your knees. And now tune into this rolling of your low back. You're catting your back when your knees come into your chest. You're cowing your back when your knees push to the foot of your mat. Yeah, really notice the movement of your bones on the mat, on the floor below you. And now switch the direction that your knees are circling in, go the other way. So instead of having your knees come up into your chest, down to the foot, and then wide, you go down to the foot, then wide, come up. Yeah, so it's the opposite direction. And don't worry if it's not exactly what I said, it really doesn't matter. You're working to move your hip joints and your back in a way that warms you up the best you can. There we go. All right. And then come back to the center and we'll slowly move into toe taps. What are toe taps? I'm first going to adjust the blanketing under my neck so that I have a significant cylinder under my neck. And I bring my palms right down to the sides of my body and start with toe taps. So that what that looks like is that I'm reaching my toes like this. Yeah. And now, if you need a different variation, you can also do a hands and knee block squeeze. So if being on your back is enough, you've had enough of that, you might place a block between your upper thighs, and anyone can opt for this one if you wish, where you squeeze the block and cat your low back, release neutral spine. Squeeze the block, cat your low back, release your spine. Yeah, so that's an option. Now, if you're toe tapping and it's really easy for you and you're like, yeah, la, 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 di, da, this is blah, you might start slow bicycles. But the real effort here is not to go quickly, but to go as if you're in warm, thick chocolate, let's say. Squeeze your buttock muscle of the leg that reaches. Your knees do not need to straighten all the way. Your feet do not need to move to the foot of your mat. The main focus here is on the pressing of your low back flat. You can even dig your fingertips into the space around your belly button to feel how your abdominal muscles, your rectus abdominis, your internal and external obliques, even your transverse abdominis, really all four layers of your abdominal muscles are working here to try to immobilize your pelvis. Now, breathing, taking sips of air, go backwards on your bicycle if you're bicycling. And when in doubt, slow the movement down. If you need more intensity, stretch your legs further from you, and less intensity, bring your feet closer to your belly button. The closer your feet are to your belly button, the more supported your back will be. Yes. Two more breaths. Remember to do that thing called breathing. Take a break as soon as you need to. Ah, and slowly, gently come to your front body. So what does that mean? You bring your knees into your chest, you roll to the side of your body and place a very nice padded blanket underneath your hip. Since we have two and lots of blankets besides two, you can fold up one blanket, 8-fold thick, 2, 4, 6, 8, yeah, or really any shape of blanket. But for most of us, what we want for lying on your side body is going to be a significant pad so that when you're lying on this bone, your outer hip bone, or it's really that bump on your thigh bone, it can dig in a way that's super not nice. In principle, where I'd like to go is to a side lying position. I think we did this one on Friday. So those of you who did that on Friday are like torture by side lying position, but we won't be here long. This one is not a pose where you have to lift your legs. You may choose to, but you don't need to because you have to use so much work just to be balanced on your side body that the lifting the legs is secondary. It looks like this. I have a block between my upper thigh bones. I have a bolster under my right ear so that I can press my right arm straight out in a half zombie position, kick my legs long, and bring my left hand to my top hip, which is my left. What we do here is rock front to back slightly. It's not a big movement. Your bottom foot, your right foot, is both feet are flexed, and you dig your outer edge of your right foot into the mat. And this instability that we've created by asking you to balance on the tippy point of your right hip means you have to use your core muscles to stabilize yourself. Once you've been rocking front to back a few moments, see if you can find what feels like the middle point, the apex of the bump on your right hip, and breathe and hold there with your feet flexed, your knees as straight as they can be, your toes as fully flexed up towards your knees as you can get, and squeeze your buttock muscles. And also pull your belly button up into your spine. Really contract your abdominal muscles. Now, for some, your left arm can rest on your body. That can be really nice. For others, reaching your left palm to face up and even circling your arm, either with a bent elbow or, well, first with your shoulder only, your left hand down, resting, or your left elbow tracing the shape of circle appropriate for you, which could be a big, huge left elbow circle, or could be a really small one, often right up above your shoulder towards the ceiling. And finally, if you would rather, you can take this sort of helicopter situation where your left arm might even straighten a bit and go right up by your ear, then behind your head, then down to your left thigh, and then way out in front of you. So you can circle in the way that works for your shoulder joint. Finally, if you would like to lift your legs, you can flex your feet and lift your feet up just an inch or two, maybe even less. And you can also lift your right ear off of the bolster a tiny bit or as much as feels comfortable. For others, putting your foot back down, right foot down, your head down is way better. And for some, it's actually kind of interesting to squeeze and contract the left side of your body and then lower back down. So when you lift, you can engage. When you lower, you can relax a bit, but not hugely, so that you're doing side body crunches here. Yes. And this is very helpful for many of us for back strain because it's good to be able to strengthen the muscles along your spine. Very good. Beautiful, Karin. That's it, Lisa. Flex your feet even more for me, Lisa. Yes, that's it. Yes, beautiful. That's it, Shelley. Straightening your knees. Good work. Yes. There you go. Nice buzzy. That's it, Jessica. That's it, Jules. Yeah. Breathing, squeezing your glutes, belly in and up. That's it, Jane. Nicely done. Abdominal muscles engaging. One more breath, and then bring your knees in front of you like a fetal position. Tuck your knees up towards the front of your mat and allow your body to rest. And now just roll your left shoulder around, just like we did before. Shoulder roll. Your left arm may not be lifted at all. Your shoulder can roll. If you wish to add your elbow, you can take your arm in a big circle in front of your nose, over by your left ear, and even turn your body to the left into an upper body twist if that feels appropriate. Now, what I love about this is that your left arm, your shoulder, it can be just your shoulder, moving your whole upper body into a leftward opening twist. You can even turn your chin from left to right, left into the twist, right back to where you started. If you wish to bring your left arm in front of your nose and over by your ear and then behind you, if it's appropriate for your left shoulder, you might be doing this twist where your whole upper body is turning both then first to the ceiling and then out to the left side of your mat. That's it, circling. There you go. Mhm. And then pause and relax your left arm. Yeah. All right. One more deep breath here and roll onto your back. We'll do the whole thing on the other side, where now your left arm, left ear, excuse me, is on your mat. Didn't really like the block? Please feel free to jettison the block. You don't need it. The first action is to kick your legs in your spine so long that if you tuck your chin and look down the line of your body, you notice that your head, your shoulders, your hips, and your ankles are all in one straight line. If there were a wall behind you, you could feel your heels, your calves, your glutes, your shoulders, and your head on the wall. Now tip from front to back, squeezing your abdominals. Let your left foot dig into the mat to help stabilize you. Place your right hand on the floor or on your body. So it's a little bit of an added challenge when your right arm is not on the floor, your right hand is not on the floor, but it can be very interesting and allow you to engage your core even more. Hug your belly in and up, squeeze your buttock muscles and flex your feet. There you go. Straightening your knees even more, Jane. That's it. If you wish to lift now and lower your feet, you can work your feet up and then also float your right arm up, slightly different order to the other side, but we'll do all the same things. And if you wish to lift your left ear up and hold in the lift, you can. Squeeze your glutes, pull your belly in and up. You can even push down with your 5 fingers of your left hand. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Now you can keep your feet lifted and circle your arm or lower your feet and move your right shoulder in that circular movement that we've been doing in two different places on the other side. So right shoulder or right elbow or even a straight right arm. And if you need more, you can lift your legs up, squeeze your right side of your abdominals, your whole right side of your trunk, really. It works your hip muscles, your abdominals. Breathing, circling your right arm if it's in your practice. Remembering to sip air. Remembering to pull your belly button up and back. Most of the time we let go of our abdominal muscles after a minute or two. So re-engage your buttock muscles and your abdominals. And one more breath wherever you are, and then bend your knees up in front of you and rest. Sighing and groaning is always fine. Roll your right shoulder now forward towards the front of your mat or the side of your mat that you're looking towards, then up to your ear, and maybe begin to twist your upper body, your shoulder girdle open to the sky and the ceiling, or even all the way to the right hand side, adding your right arm as and if it feels appropriate. Big reaching through. You might even feel a little bit of a stretch in your chest muscles across the front of your right side of your chest and your inner and outer armpit area. Give yourself a few moments in this twisting movement. And then slowly meet me back on your left side. Relax everything. And from here, use your arms and hands and legs to help you slowly sit up, taking your time. Okay. Now, we have one more thing to do on our front body. And for that, what I need to do is actually roll up this top blanket and make a little blanket, slightly cylinder-like shape, and rest back down for Sphinx pose, or for, actually, I lied, not Sphinx, but Shalabhasana. The idea behind Shalabhasana is that you can either rest your forehead down, you can put your forehead on a block. I find if I roll up my sticky mat, just putting my forehead on that little roll is enough for me to tuck my chin up off of the mat and support my forehead without squashing my nose. But you can always add another blanket under your forehead as well, or any other prop, including your hands. Okay. So the idea in Shalabhasana is that with or without your hands under your forehead, I'm going to bring my arms down by the side of my thighs, and that you can mimic me there if you wish. Your feet and legs are hip distance apart, and the tops of your thighs hopefully are pressing into the mat. First action here is to take a big breath in, and on your exhale, squeeze your buttock muscles, press your pubic bones so deeply into the blanket that you pull your belly button up off of the blanket. In that position, this is what we call a posterior tilt. You can take one of your hands onto your low back and feel as you relax the effort, that your low back drops back down, hammocking to the mat. And as you inhale here, exhale, squeeze your glutes, press your pubic bone. Notice if you feel your low back rising and flattening. And when you inhale, lowering down and hammocking. And inhale down, exhale, squeeze, press your pubic bone, squeeze your buttock muscles. Yes, back and forth between the action of squeezing your glutes, straightening your knees if you like. You don't need your knees to be straight. But when you inhale, relax your back down. Exhale, squeeze your glutes. Exactly, Jules. That's it. Exactly, Jane. Press your beautiful Jessica. Press your pubic bone down. Laura, lovely. That's it. Exactly, Karen. That's it, Lisa. Your low back flattens when you posteriorly tilt your pelvis. Squeeze your belly button. Lift it as much as you can. That's it, Buzzy. That's it, Shelley. Going back and forth two more times. This is a posterior tilt, which means that you're pulling your frontal hip points up off of the mat. Don't worry if they don't actually leave the mat, but the muscular action required to tilt your pelvis, that's it, Shelley, is what we're looking for here. Now, next time you're in the flat back position, squeeze your glutes, press your pubic bone down, lift your right leg and lengthen it to the back of your mat so long that your knee is fully straight. If it feels better to flex your toes towards your knee, that's no problem. If you feel like it's okay to point your toes, try that out. Try both, in fact. And then lengthen, lengthen one more breath and lower your right leg down. Keep the squeeze of your glutes, maintain the posterior tilt, sips of air, and reach your left leg so far back, now your second leg, that your knee is as straight as a pin. Absolutely straight, straight, straight. Your left leg long. That's it, Jules. And then choose either a point or a flex or try both. Lisa, that's gorgeous. Yes, exactly, Karen. That's it. Laura, straighten that left knee even more for me. Yes, it's hard to feel a straight knee. Nicely done. And lower your left leg down. One more time each side, or simply go back and forth between squeezing your buttock muscles, pressing your pubic bone down, and releasing. You don't need to lift your legs. You can work just your core muscles. Yes, very good. And when your body's done, release your arms and hands to your favorite resting position. Bend your knees, flex your feet to 90 degrees, and windshield wiper slowly side to side. Ideally, the going slowly to allow you real observation of sensation in your hips, your thighs, your knees, and your back. Notice your breathing. Yes, these are beautiful. Good. And then meet me back in the center, finding your way now up to standing, believe it or not, but we're going to get there so slowly that it's going to be an experience of allowing your head and your heart to re-equilibrate. So where we'll be heading is to a wide-legged position where your two blocks are stacked one upon the other in a nice tall stack, not stable, but tall enough that for most of us, it'll allow us to help lift the chest as we come up. So here's the idea. I don't have to stand exactly. I can even come straight up to my flat back, but the idea is that you bring your feet wide. You can put your elbows or elbow on the blocks. Really push your buttocks behind you and bend your knees for this yogi squat with all 10 of your toes straight ahead. Now, you can certainly put one or both hands on the blocks instead of being on your forearms. For some, this is too low, it's not comfortable. Instead, you might put one or both hands on your blocks and shift your weight deep into your heels. So, classically, this pose is taught where your weight is not behind your heels, but I prefer to start with my weight fully behind my heels so that when I reach my chest and shoulders forward in a long straight line, most of the work is still in my legs. And then in this position, see if you can lighten up even more on your hands, or if you have one hand on your block, so that really now most of your weight is in your legs. And then slowly straighten your knees any amount. They don't need to straighten all the way, and rebend. Now, I actually weirdly always feel a stretch here in my outer ankles. If that feels uncomfortably stretchy, toe heel your feet closer. If the stretch is just a intense stretch, but not a sharp, painful one, it's not a bad idea to stretch this muscle here. This is called your peroneus, and it's a muscle that we don't use much in our modern lives and can be really good for balance. Notice if your toes are digging in. Can you spread your toes wide and keep the weight in your heels? Yes. Now, if leaning forward and hanging is really enticing to you, any amount of forward fold can be very helpful for some of us, but your knees might not be straight, and that's absolutely fine. For those of us who don't put our heads below our hearts, it can be nice instead to take, for example, one or both blocks forward and reach your upper body in a flat back position, still bringing the weight behind your heels for counterbalance. So I really don't have much weight in my arm at all. If you want one or two arms, you can take both forward, just one, breathing. Any height that's appropriate for your upper body is fair game here. So here's me taking my head and shoulders higher than my heart, and that allows me to work in a position that's not bringing so much blood flow to my head. Yeah, nice. Play around with what feels right. Do you feel a little bit of a hamstring stretch? Maybe you bend one knee and then the other. Yeah, nice. Elongate through your spine, pull your belly up and in, and slowly come back to your flat back. And then bring your weight underneath you. Tuck your tailbone, squeeze your buttocks, tuck your tailbone forward, and slowly lift your shoulders up over your hips, keeping your legs wide initially, and roll your shoulders way up to your ears and way back and down. Now take your right shoulder and bring it way out in front of you, and then pull it back, twist to the right, look behind you. And again, your right shoulder. Your right shoulder can go so far forward that it comes over towards your left foot, and then so far back that it drops down towards your left foot behind you. Yeah, so it's an exaggerated shoulder roll on that right side. Yeah, exactly. And if you wish, you can take your elbow around as well, just like we were doing earlier in our twists. And then finally, you can take your full arm, if appropriate for your shoulder. Big breath in and reach. And one more time, big breath in and let it go. And pause in the middle and just notice how asymmetric you may feel right now. Gaze down your nose. Some people like to close their eyes. I feel a little dizzy if I do that. Take a big breath in. And now it's your left shoulder. It comes way forward in front of you and then way back behind. Notice that it might help to bend your knees a lot. I often bend and straighten my knees as I do these twists because that can free up the mobility in your hips. Yes, noticing your breathing. If you wish to add your elbow, please feel free. Notice what we're really looking for is a twist in your torso. Your shoulder girdle, your rib cage are really twisting. And then finally, if you find that the straightening your whole left arm feels appropriate, you can certainly work that. Yes, it's very much like paint the rainbow up and behind you. Paint the rainbow way up. Yeah, gorgeous. Two more or one or zero. Any number I give you is fungible. You can always pause, breathe, take your own variation. And then again, meet me in the center, but see if you can either bring one or both hands to the front of your sternum. And I find that it's actually kind of interesting to ground your feet, ground your shoulders, feel your ears even, your eyes even, your hips even, your feet. And then let your arms come on down. Now for warrior two, rock onto your left heel, rotate your left toes in, say 10 degrees, okay? And then swivel your right toes out and align your right heel best you can with your left instep or heel to heel alignment. Both are valid. Now, turn your chest slightly to the right and squeeze your left glute. Ah, that's good. So you can see me a little bit better if you turn around. Either way is fine. Now, look at your right knee and slightly bend it and see that your knee is moving directly over the middle of your toes, not crashing inside your big toe, but moving right over the middle of your toes or even slightly towards your baby toe. And then bend and straighten your right knee a few times. As you do this, can you spread all 10 of your toes? I do this with my fingers just without meaning to, because when I spread my fingers, it helps me spread my toes. I also like to raise my eyebrows because that seems to help as well, and certainly makes me look like a crazy person. So keep your right knee bent and stack your right knee over your ankle. If you need more space, you can always creep your right foot a little further out to the right or pull it in a little bit more so the bend in your knee feels strong and manageable. Then stand up really tall and turn your chin to the left. Look out over your left leg. Look down to your left ankle. Now keep your hips where they are. They are slightly turned to your right, are they not? Keep your hips where they are, but just rotate your rib cage to the left so that now your collarbone parallels the long edge of your mat in front of you. Turning to the left with your chest. Then float your left arm out up over your left foot. Float your right arm out up over your right foot. Bend your right knee, press your right heel, and grow really tall through your spine. Then pull your left hand and shoulder back to the back edge of towards your left foot to stand up tall and gaze right. Shrug both shoulders, unshrug both shoulders. Yes. Shrug both shoulders, unshrug. Ah, one more deep breath in. Ah, excuse me. And straighten both knees and rotate your right toes in about 10 degrees. Turn your left toes out about 90 degrees. Reset your feet. Left heel to your right instep. That's the alignment. And now look at your right foot and see if your right toes are slightly turned in. That is what you want. So when you look at your right toes, they should be slightly turned in towards your midline. There you go, Lisa. Even a little more, unless it feels bad in your foot. That's great. There you go, Buzzy. Now, bend and straighten your left knee a few times. Yep, that's it, Jessica. Yeah, beautiful, Laura. And gaze at your left kneecap and see, that's it, exactly, Jane, that your left knee, when it bends, it goes right in the same direction as your middle toes, not inside your big toe of your left foot. That's it, Shelley. Good. Hold in your knee bend and stack your left knee directly above your ankle, vertically. If you need more intensity, creep your left foot further out. If you need a little less intensity, bring your right foot further in to allow you to bend your left knee less. Yeah, for some of us, we need a less deep knee bend. Otherwise, it feels pressure. Feels like you have pressure in your knee. Yes, and a little more space between your feet if you want to bend your knee that much, Shelley. You need more space between your feet. Yes, now you've got the vertical stack of your shin. Excellent. Now stand up really tall, everybody. And now take both arms in front of you like a zombie. Yes. And then bring both arms up above towards your ears, next to your ears. Grow really tall. Now notice your hips, they're turned a little bit to the left. That's great. Keep them there. But open your chest to the long edge of your mat and reach one right hand over your right foot, left hand over your left foot, meaning your collarbone parallels the long edge of your mat. That's it, Lisa. Exactly, Karen. Inhale, shrug your shoulders up. Exhale, shrug shoulders down. Yes. Inhale up. Exhale down. Nice, Jules. Yes. Inhale up. Exhale, shoulder blades down, your back. Now gaze left, but reach your right arm so far back and up that your right hand is not lower than your left. So you might peek a gaze left and right and see that your arms are equidistant and equidistant from the floor. One more breath. Feel your left heel press deep. Hug your belly button in and up. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, straighten your knees, both knees, and rotate your left toes in and heel toe your feet slowly together. Nicely done. That's it, Karen. Yeah, exactly, Jessica. And then go for a walk, shake out your legs. Nice. Okay. Now, this one is a little odd, but I'd like to encourage you to practice balancing on different surfaces. So we're not always on a wood surface, not always a sticky mat, could be something as squishy as a blanket. So ideally, if you could, pop a blanket like this, the same way you found it on the stack this afternoon, and pop it right in the middle of your mat facing towards me. Now, we've done this before with a block, and you might already know I don't like blocks. No problem if you don't like blocks. You simply bring your feet hips distance. If you're okay squeezing a block between your upper thigh bones close to your pelvis, that can be really helpful. And some people prefer instead to put the block behind your toes inside your ankles on the floor. Notice that if you do have the block on the floor, it's not between your toes, it's back behind. So if you look behind yourself, you have a good 3 inches or 4 inches of block poking out behind you. If you're okay to have the block between your thighs, step your feet as close as you can get them to come. And notice that you don't need to use your muscles at all here because the block is stuck, it's wedged because of the position of your feet. So from here, slightly move your right foot an inch or an inch and a half to the right, and your left foot an inch or an inch and a half to the left. So you have more space between your legs than than you would think. Yeah. The idea is with your arms hanging down, you can always put one or both hands on your hips, stand up so tall that you're as tall as your bones will allow you to be, squeeze your buttocks, pull your navel in and up, just like when we were side lying and we were trying to make your spine completely extended. We want that same felt sense. You could be on the floor here with your arm in front, lifting and lowering your legs. Same idea, buttocks squeezing down, your sacrum slightly sliding downward, your belly button pulling back and up, and your low ribs closing together. And then roll your shoulders forward and up and back and down. Gaze down your nose at something that's not moving. Now, notice what it feels like in your knees if you bend them a little bit and then straighten them. Squeezing your block, keeping your buttock squeezed, keeping your belly button lifting up and back. Notice sensation with your knees bent. And now slowly straighten your knees almost all the way, but maintain a tiny bit of bend, just a little bit. And as you reach your arms down fully, slowly start to lift your heels. Ooh, it's hard to do. Then rock back, let your toes flare, and then lift up. And then rock back, your toes flare, squeeze, hold, breathe, and lift. Notice that it's not as easy to lift your heels and balance because we're on this squishy surface. It's a little bit like at the gym when they ask you to do something on that Bosu ball. It's so much harder to balance on a squishy surface, and that Bosu ball is much squishier than even these blankets. The idea here behind the blankets is to notice, can you feel your 5 toes of each foot, your balls, and even your instep? So normally we don't feel our insteps pressing into anything. So I'm interested to know if you can feel even the skin of your insteps touching blanket. Can everybody feel that? Depends on the shape of your foot. You still might not feel it, depending you're underneath your arches, right? Now, next time, see if you can hold any height. Doesn't need to be the maximum height for your heels. You can start low and grow high. You can come back down and reset any number of times. This is not about being a statue. It's a moving balance, right? Most humans move a little bit when we're balancing. And then when you come down, great. If you're balancing and wobbling, that means you're at the limit of your balance, which is great because that's actually where you're strengthening your vestibular system. When you're challenging your vestibular system, you're making it stronger. I sometimes do this with my fists. This is what my grandbaby does when he's walking. Or he goes like this. He puts one arm up with his little fist and he says, "Goal!" Because his daddy is into hockey. And so he taught him how to put both arms up and say, "Bruins, goal!" So this is my 10-month-old grandbaby. He's walking along going, "Bruins, goal!" He's a perfect mimic. He doesn't know what he's saying, but he says it very well. It's absolutely hilarious. All right. Right? Crazy. And then bring your arms behind you. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Whether your arms go back or no, it's the squeeze of your shoulder blades that we're interested in. Now, squeeze your shoulder blades, scoop your belly back, tuck your tailbone forward, and bump your hips back like you're opening a swinging door with your butt. Look down and see the tops of your feet. Now, tuck your tailbone, cat your back, lift your chest, and bend your knees any amount. Notice spread all 10 toes, lift 10 toes. And then squeeze your glutes, press your tailbone forward, lift your chest, and bump your hips back. Now, cat pose in your low back. Really tuck your tailbone. Now, lift your chest and then sink your hips. Scoop and curl. Keep your hips low, lift your chest. Sink a little lower. scoop and curl. And then one or both arms forward and up and back. Scoop and curl more. Squeeze your glutes and back. One more time, forward and up. And then stand up really tall. Reach, reach, reach. Squeeze your glutes. Really squeeze your glutes. Tuck your tailbone forward and rainbow your arms all the way down. And then roll your shoulders. Chair pose. Anybody feel that in their low back? A little bit? Not painful contraction in your low back. We're working to avoid the feeling when you go into chair pose, right? Chair pose. Good, because it's very strengthening. So, in order to deal with back sensitivity, we need to build strength. And by holding yourself against gravity in a posterior tilt, which is this, moving back into chair pose, not working this way, but instead working this way, which brings your upper body down. So that's why we need to say, lift your chest, sink back, scoop your tailbone, lift your chest. But trying to maintain this posterior tilt in chair, whether it looks like you're really doing it or not, the action of doing it lengthens the space between your lumbar vertebrae. And for most of us, that's where we get a contractile impingement and starts to feel really bad. The other thing I love is that in chair pose, if you start with your shoulder blades squeezing and then reach your arms, it's instead of feeling like, where are my arms going? It's more of a counteraction to the squeeze of your shoulder blades, and it starts to feel kind of nice, even. Whereas this can be like, ugh. So that's the idea behind that exercise. Okay, so let's come on down to a lunge. Now, lots of ways to do lunges to avoid any knee discomfort or sensitivity. I often will use my two blocks tall, and I often will start on my knees. However, if this is not good for your knees to start that way, you can start in a low lunge but supported on your blocks. One arm, both arms, you can put one elbow on your thigh. A low lunge position, or I guess you could call this one a high lunge, is a way to stretch out the front of your back leg. If you're on your bolster, excuse me, you can walk your foot forward, take your blocks with you, wiggle, 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 and then squeeze the glute of your back leg, whether your knee is lifted or not. Squeezing this back leg gluteal muscles lengthens your hip flexor on that left side. Ideally, whichever lunge you're in, your front knee is stacked over your ankle, just like when we did the standing poses. And then, if you wish, you can bump your hips back, roll onto your heel, even pull your heel backwards, like you're trying to dig the sticky mat back towards your bolster as you lengthen your chest forward and up. You might not need to go any further. This is a lot in my hamstring right now. Whoa. And then you can point your foot and flex your foot. I'll show it this way too. Sorry, Jane, to be so occluded here. So your hamstring stretch is with a bent knee pulling your heel in the plane of the sticky mat back towards your mat. That activates the hamstring that you're engaging. Then you can bring your right buttock bone a little further back to create a little more straightness in the back of your knee. But ideally, there's always a little bit of a bend and a little bit of a heel drag backwards. And then you can shift your right foot any amount you need to, a little closer back into the bolster or not. And as you lean forward into your right bent knee, press your right heel down. And if you wish, try squeezing your left buttock muscle to lengthen through your hip flexors. You can even support yourself on your thigh, one or two blocks. You can even lift your chest and maybe your gaze. I like to pull my shoulder blades together and behind me. That allows me to lift my gaze a little more comfortably. And then shift back slowly in a considered way. Pull your heel back towards your bolster. Lift your chest, lengthen your spine. Whoa, I don't need to straighten my knee. My hamstrings are killing me. Anybody else feel that? You could always point through your foot. That's a different way of stretching the top of your foot. Flex your foot. If your knee straightens readily, great, no problem. You can also keep the pull of your heel back and up. You can drape your upper body downward if that feels like a good way to add to the stretch. Now, finally, in this position, you might like to rotate your right toes and knee outwards. You can do an external rotation. Yeah, that's it, Lisa. Yeah, so you can turn your right toes and knee to the right and then back up, toes back up to the sky. You may notice a different stretch on the outer edge of your right thigh, and you can turn your right toes in towards your midline as well. And for most of us, our inner hamstrings usually, in this position, you don't feel that much, but you will feel probably more when you rotate your leg outward. When you're ready to switch sides, take your left leg forward, adjust your blocks. Be sure that you have vertical pressure straight down into your left heel, and that means that your left knee ideally is stacked over your left ankle rather than having your left knee behind your ankle or way out in front. It's not that those positions are wrong. They're just different than what we're looking for. That's it, Buzzy. A little further forward with your right foot, and don't worry if your foot comes onto the wood. Yeah, even another 4 inches. Yeah, so probably just your heel will be on the mat. Good. Now, ideally, you're squeezing your back leg buttock muscles. So whether you're in a lifted lunge or a knee down lunge, when you squeeze the buttock muscles of your back leg, you of necessity, your hip flexors lengthen. That's how there's a thing called reciprocal inhibition. When your hip flexors, when you squeeze your glutes, your hip flexors have to lengthen, and vice versa. Once again, when you come back with your hips to lengthen your hamstring on that left side, dig your heel backwards and in towards your bolster. Feel the action in your hamstring. Whoa. Exactly. Yeah. So when your left leg is forward, there's a feeling like you're trying to dig into your mat and then grab it and pull it back towards your body. That activates the muscle we're lengthening. And then, if you wish, whoa, you can do the internal external rotation of your left leg. I find this one to be super intense, but some of you may find it's kind of like, whatever. You can also circle your ankle, point and flex your left toes. Notice that you don't necessarily need a straight knee to feel a hamstring stretch. Yeah, good. Excellent. And then if you're doing a seated variation, you can also lift your chest and lengthen forward with straight knees like that, if that feels good, Karen, so that you're not so much pressure on your joints, but still getting a pretty gnarly hamstring stretch. Yeah. Nice, going back and forth. I know I short shrift you on the second side almost every time I teach. So take a few more moments to be sure you're equal, feel well stretched on both sides in a way that matches. Yes. And if these are reasonable for you, it's a great thing to do at home because you get both a hamstring stretch and a stretch for your hip flexors. So when you're sitting all day, the front of your hip gets short, locked, and weak. And when you're sitting all day, you're also not doing anything to strengthen your quads. So by going back and forth, lengthening both your hamstrings and your hip flexors, it helps to rebalance your pelvis. And so you might have a little less strain in your neck and shoulders because your hips will be a little bit more balanced. Yeah. And then you think, okay, enough already. Now, for Shavasana, for some of us, it's actually kind of nice to take a bolster. And you might say, no, I hate that. I'm not doing that. Totally fine. But the idea is that if you wish, you can take one flat block, one tall block, and give yourself this sort of beach read situation, you know, Ellen Hildenbrand or something like that. Now, what I like about this is that you can opt, if you wish, for Supta Baddha Konasana. You could even take two blankets and wedge them under your outer thighs. I'm a huge fan of that. Oh. Now, what I love about this way of taking Shavasana, you might choose to do something totally different, and I support you 100%. The idea is that you've got a felt sense of draping, but your head and your heart are not quite as low. You can always adjust your arms, bring them lower, higher. You can even do this where you take your fists or wrists and drape them over the back, if that feels appropriate for your shoulder joints. And the goal here is Shavasana. So it's not the same feeling as lying flat, but it can also be more relaxing for some of us because it gives you this sort of broadening of your chest that you don't necessarily feel when you're laying completely flat. Just making sure that you make all adjustments needed so that you feel truly comfortable in your position and not a feeling of, I'm not sure this is right. I don't know if I'm really going to do this. Kind of feels weird. Yeah. Mhm. Good. Allowing your chin to soften slightly to your chest, allowing your shoulder blades to squinch together just a little bit so that you can even broaden across your chest even more. You can always put blankets under your outer legs or and take any leg position that serves you. Good. Nice variations. And now you have nothing to do, just to let your body be breathed. And of course, during this resting pose, anytime you need to move, gently, gently adjust and move so you're not forcing yourself to stay with something that feels inappropriate. And now, very gently, begin to deepen your breathing. And if it feels best to stay quiet, please do. Don't need to move. If you're ready to move on with your day, you might wiggle your fingers and toes, perhaps circle your wrists and your ankles. And if you have a bunch of props, you might slowly begin to roll to one side and use your arms and legs to clear your space. After being up on a lifted position, I often like to just take a moment to lie flat, but that might not be necessary for you. And if I do that, it means I just push my bolster to the side and lay back down once, just to bring my knees into my chest. For some, that's helpful to rebalance your back. And for others, you're practically sitting, and so you might as well sit right up, and that feels fine, not a problem. Any seated position that serves you, meaning that it doesn't feel bad in your hips, ankles, or back. And if you're comfortable, you can bring one or both hands to the front of your heart in Namaskarasana. So often, for example, in tree pose, we do one hand and then the other. It's a completely valid mudra. Mudra being a symbolic hand position. Namaskarasana is a mudra signifying gratitude. Take a full deep breath in wherever you are, fill up, and let that go. Let's do two more like that. Fill up your breath, full, full, full. Let it go. And now, particularly notice the relaxation upon exhalation. Inhale, fill up, and relax and let it go. Take a moment in that relaxed mode to notice your breathing, sensations in your body, and the quality of your mind and thoughts. Siren meditation. One more tall breath in and let it go. My favorite translation for namaste is the light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Good to see you. Hope you all have a really good rest of your Monday. I'll be here Wednesday, 9:30 to 11. It's an all levels class, but you can take it at your level. Everything we do is fungible. And then Thursday, I'm going to have my surgery and I'll be out for just about a month, most likely. I'm hoping to come back like the 20 something. Right. Either so the 19th is a Monday and the 26th is a Monday. I'm not sure. I will keep you all posted and I'll write you an update of how it went and all of that so that you can know what the sort of rough idea is for when I'll be back. So I'll definitely send out an email. And if you want to be on an email list, if you're not already, I'll take your emails and I can make sure you're on it so that you can get the news. So. All right, but I'll be here Wednesday, so we're just blithe. You know the fool in the tarot cards? You know that picture of the fool just going along by the cliff? That's me right now. There you go. It's just like la di da. We're always really walking on the edge of a cliff. We just don't really think about it. So, all right. Thank you, Joyce. I hope you have a really good rest of your day.